How long will it take to get better is one of the things we hear every single day here, whether it's patients, members, or anybody in between. When you're in pain or you've got a niggle or you're injured, that is the number one thing on your mind. Totally get it. It's very frustrating. It's taking you away from whatever it is that you might want to be doing day to day. One of the main things that contributes to that is tissue healing time. So that's a little bit of a medical term. What I mean by that is, what is the actual injury? What is it affected? Is it bone? Pretty fixed healing time of 6 weeks. So if you've got a fracture, that's how long it's going to take at a minimum to get better. If it is tendon, for example, well, then it also matters, is it a full rupture? Is it a little bit of a tear? Is it a tendinopathy that we have to maybe manage over a longer term, but you can still maybe do some things with it? That definitely affects it. Is it a ligament? Again, full rupture. Is it a little bit of a partial tear? How long is it going to influence your stability? What joint is it? If it's muscle tissue, that is super variable. So it really depends on whether it's your calf, your hamstring, your quad. Is it your bicep, for example? And it also depends on where that muscle is and what you're doing. The hamstring tear, you actually don't use that much of your hamstring until you're sprinting at over 80% of your max speed. But if your max speed is pretty low because you don't run that often, then you're probably using it more than what you think. Or are you using it more because you're bending over more frequently? Most of the time we need our lateral hamstring, the one on the outside here, more than what you might need the ones on the inside. So all of those things come into play when we're talking about how long it's going to actually take for your injury or niggle to heal and how long it's going to take for it to not hurt. The next thing on the list, what do you actually have capacity to do? Basically, are you doing your exercises? And we're not here to judge you. There's no shade or shame about that. We completely understand some people have a hell of a lot more time than others. Some people have kids running around, some people have stressful jobs, others don't. And maybe they're students and they have time at the end of the day to actually focus on these exercises and their rehab. Or you might be an athlete and it's way more important to you to prioritize doing something like that. That's the chapter of life that you're in. But whether you can actually prioritize this is a really big deal as well. That's obviously going to impact how long it's going to take. We're not saying that it's not going to get better if you can't do your exercises every single day, but it might mean that it does take longer or that you need more intervention, you need more treatment, you need more hands-on work because you're not able to give yourself the micro doses through doing those exercises every day that other people might. There is still a difference between doing them every single day versus maybe doing them once every 3 days compared to not doing them at all. So all of these things are going to impact that timeline. It doesn't mean it's never going to get better. It is just going to change it from 3 weeks to 4 weeks to 6 to 12 months. The next part is your aggravating factor. Basically what this means is how often do you have to do the thing that actually hurts it? If I've hurt my lower back, for example, and I've got young kids and I have to pick them up, they're 2 or 3 and they're getting heavier and I'm having to bend over and I can feel it in my back every single time, that's obviously an aggravating factor. It's going to impact how long it will take for me to feel better. If I also sit at a desk 8 hours a day, if I'm having to do the heavy lifting, if I'm renovating the house and I'm carrying heavy boxes or on my hands and knees doing laborious work that I'm not used to doing, all of these things are going to impact the time that it will take. Again, doesn't mean it won't get better, it will just take longer. What we talk about here is what are the relieving factors? So what are the things that actually make it better? One of them would be having the time to do your rehab exercises, for example, or your mobility exercises. Great. Are you also doing things like making sure you're prioritizing sleep, staying hydrated, eating well, avoiding inflammatory foods like alcohol, sugars, etc.? Awesome. These are going to tip the scales in our favor. When we do things that are aggravating, like sitting in the desk without moving for 8 hours or having to pick up the kids 50 times that day because they're having a mare, then those things start to outweigh our relieving factors and pain starts to either become more intense or last longer. What we want to do is basically tip the scales in our favor. Make sure that we're doing our rehab or our mobility exercises enough or we're drinking enough water, or whatever it is that actually outweighs the amount of aggravating factors that are influencing what's going on. So it might mean, okay, I'm going to really prioritize setting my alarms and getting up every 1 to 2 hours from my desk. Or it might mean that I am using a standing desk this week. Maybe I work from home so that it's a little bit easier to get out and about, or cool, I've really got to prioritize those walking meetings. It might mean I need to ask my partner to look after the kids for an extra 10 minutes at the end of the night because I need to be able to do those exercises to get better quicker. Whatever that is, we just need to find a way, as I said, to tip the scales in our favor. If they're really in our favor, amazing. We're going to get better way quicker. Like, that is giving you the highest potential to get on top of this. If we're kind of even, well, we're kind of just struggling along and having to maintain. We still want to tip those relieving factors higher than our aggravating factors as much as we possibly can. I went into it a little bit there, but our general recovery or health influence has a lot to do with it as well. Sleep is a really big one. Our bodies heal when we're sleeping. They repair when we're sleeping. Whether you're injured or not, that is when you do all of your recovering. There's no energy expenditure to anything else. We're just focusing on repairing our body. So even if you've just done a weight session and you're producing those micro tears that grow strength, increase muscle mass, etc., get you stronger, that's when that repairing happens. Same goes when we're injured or in pain. We want to reduce the inflammation. That's going to happen overnight. And we're focusing on healing. So if we can't prioritize our 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night, it's going to take a little bit longer. Hydration has a massive impact on how much nutrients is getting to those areas as well. And use the 80-20 rule. Are we decreasing our amount of alcohol, our amount of sugar? Are we increasing, just paying a little bit more attention to eating healthier foods that are going to help us along the way? Again, if you can't prioritize doing your exercises every day, these are other choices that you can make throughout the day. When you go and buy your lunch, for example, not getting the meat pie and getting the salad sandwich, focusing on high protein, focusing on filling up your veggies, those things are going to also help to tip the scales. A massive, massive part of this is response time. If I sprain my ankle, for example, and I think, it'll be right, and I spend the next 3 weeks limping because I'm avoiding going to get it checked out, that is definitely going to impact, one, what your practitioner can do once you get here and the time that it will get better. Personally, I'd much rather treat you 3 times in the first 2 weeks and get on top of something than 3 times in 3 months. Obviously, getting better in 2 to 3 weeks is much more beneficial, in my opinion, to getting better in 3 months' time. If you delay that response, things that can happen are basically scar tissues building up, the joint starts to stiffen, because it's going into protective mode, it doesn't feel like it has stability, so stiffness is the next best thing. And usually we avoid using it. So you might start limping and not even realize it, which means that the muscles around the area that will eventually provide that stability for the joint start to atrophy or weaken. So yes, it might just get better. However, it will definitely get better if you go and address it as soon as you can. One of the absolute major rules in this, and the one I want to leave you with, is proactive versus reactive. Modus was literally built on being proactive. It's why we have the combination of movement and gym, Pilates, strength, etc. with our allied health team. Using movement, by the way, modus means movement in Latin, as the original driver of health is the whole point. You're less sedentary and you're getting up and going for a walk if you're making sure that you're getting strength or resistance training into your routine, if you're getting up and stretching once a day for 5 minutes or even 10. Basically, if you're getting yourself moving, you are being proactive to these things not creeping into your life. It is the whole point. It's also going to decrease your need to see us as osteos, physios, chiros, etc. Whoever your practitioner is, rather than just depending on them and seeing them once a month, once every 6 weeks, or whatever it might be, we want to get you to the point where it's, okay, cool, we come in for a 3-monthly tune-up, but you're actually proactive enough that you're keeping your tissues happy, healthy, and that when niggles do happen or injuries do come about, which still will happen, we're not saying they're all of a sudden we've cured everything and that they'll never happen in your life. When they do, your body will have the resilience, the skill and the health to basically get back to that baseline quicker than if you weren't. Obviously, the proactive, healthy body that's not sedentary is going to get back to where you want to be a hell of a lot quicker than the person that's just sitting at the desk all day and then sitting on the couch all night. Out of all of these things, whatever you do, get moving, start to incorporate resistance or strength training, get your stretching in, get your steps up, and focus on the 80-20 rule. Make good, healthy choices 80% of the time and still give yourself the treats the other 20%.